Hi, this is John, Flat 6 Motorsports, and behind me we have a 991.2 Carrera. We have some pure 800 turbos we're about to throw on it. Let's get into it. Okay, so in front of us, you may have seen a video we put out a few years ago called Porsche's Best Kept Secret. It was actually this car right here that we took from a base model and put GTS turbos on, which effectively is our Stage 3 power kit. And we talked about how Porsche left this untapped potential on the Carrera platform and how the mechanical bits were identical with the motor and driveline. And all you needed to do is swap to larger turbochargers to extract more power. It's a really good proven strategy that we've used hundreds of times over the years here at Flat 6 Motorsports, but it is a good kept secret. Now you probably know about it, but what if you want to take it a step further? And that's a question that was asked from us from the owner. He wanted to take it a step further, and so this is now going to be upgraded to our Stage 4 power kit. So we take the GTS turbochargers, we send them off to pure turbos, they enlarge, bore out the insides, they put a bigger turbine wheel and compressor wheel inside, and that gives us a larger footprint that we can push more air into the engine and make more power. This car also has full bolt-ons, a host of other modifications, a really well done example. But let's get it on the dyno. Our friends from OEM Engineering are gonna come and do some custom tuning with this car. So we're gonna put it on the dyno and see what kind of power it makes, and then we'll put it out on the street and I'll give you some driving impressions. After we got the car on the dyno, we had John from OEM Engineering in-house with us to do the tuning live. So we were able to do runs on the dyno, we were able to do the data logs, review the data, and actually make tweaks real time to the maps and see what sort of improvements we could make. And the result of that was very impressive gains. We made 596 wheel horsepower and 426 foot-pounds of torque at the wheels. And so that is gonna equate to roughly close to 700 horsepower at the crankshaft, up well over 200 wheel horsepower from the stock 991.2 Carrera S that we had dynoed recently. We also had the opportunity to add some MS-109 to improve the octane. Unfortunately, we were only able to get about 3 gallons in there, so that was basically 96 octane effectively, but we were able to get further improvements, about 25 more wheel horsepower to that, up to 621 at the wheels, which is close to about 725 at the crank, factoring for drivetrain loss on our dyno. So very impressive gains. Obviously with higher octane, we'd be able to push it further, but very happy where this car is at. Okay, so we are setting off here in the Stage 4 991.2 Carrera, and of course this has the pure 800 turbos, custom tuning by OEM Engineering. So this has the new M tuner, which actually was just released for the 991.2 Carrera. There's a roll cage in here, so you might hear a little squeaking in the background. Apologize for that, but so this is a new OBD device, and it actually allows PDK tuning over the OBD port, which is really cool. And one of the really cool features of it is the on-the-fly map switching. So you can do that with a cruise stock. So you can select a map, you can always see what map you're on, and they can set those slots for different parameters. But just driving in this car, it's got, you know, full suspension and a roll cage, so it makes probably a few more little noises than a traditional street Carrera. But I will say it does drive very much, you know, just with a normal driving demeanor of a factory 991.2 Carrera. So there's no craziness about it. Obviously the valves are closed on the sole valved exhaust system right now. I'm going to drop it into manual mode, and let's go to sport mode, which will open the exhaust, and immediately you can hear some nice crackles and pops and some nice tone added. Just feels a little spicier already, but let's get around this turn and lay into the throttle. Very good throttle response. Car handles great. Yeah, wow. It's a little more linear of a power band. Kind of rewards you to rev it out, but yeah, that pulls really good up top. Wow. It gives you that like old school turbo feel. Power comes on around, I'd say about 4,000 RPM is when peak torque hits, but let's just do we'll take a corner here and then get back into it. But car really responds well up top, and torque comes in. You feel the turbo start spooling around 3,000. I'd say you can feel it coming in at 4,000, kind of at, you know, where torque's really starting to hit. Just try a little second gear roll on here. Wow. Yeah, it's got some power, and we saw that on the dyno. So 93 map made 596 wheel horsepower, which is pretty darn close to 700 horsepower at the crankshaft. Again, this car started at 374 horsepower, so nearly double where it was. Interestingly enough, you might think that that's a crazy number, but it has this feeling of belonging here in this car. It doesn't overwhelm the tires. I'm just going to do a little first gear rip into a turn too. It's like traction is not an issue. This does have Cup 2s on it, factory sizing, but even through first gear, I mean, a slight little drop out of the rear tires. Traction control actually is still on, so I didn't even disable that. It didn't intervene. And that probably speaks more towards the sizing of these turbochargers. They kind of build power more in the mid-range and up top, and that's where you're going to get a lot of the performance benefit of this over a GTS turbo. Is just the pure 800 has a larger wheel, flows more air, makes more power. So as we said, 596 wheel horsepower, 93. We did have John from M Engineering here to tune the car live, which was really nice. So we got a lot of information from him, went through the process. We had some MS-109 sitting, so we dropped, I think it was about 3.5, close to 4 gallons in the tank, but the tank was pretty full, so we weren't able to do a full 100 octane or MS-109 tune on the car. I think that would be really interesting for folks that are looking to get the most out of this platform. But we're able to get effectively about 90, 95, 96 octane with the few gallons we dropped in, mixed in. And that actually bumped power another about 25 horsepower. I believe it was 624, apologies, 624 wheel horsepower. So, you know, all of a sudden now you're at maybe 725 or so at the crankshaft. A lot of power for this car. Let me get around this bend and just try a launch with the car. Yeah. Ow. This would also be a lot of, it's fun, amazing probably at a road course, but the way I like driving a car, it's great. But on a drag strip, that launch control was very composed. A little bit of rear end slippage, obviously. Tires are getting slightly overwhelmed there in first gear into second. You got to get a little bit of drama back there, but it's 79 degrees ambient out here. It's not super hot, and these tires aren't, you know, fully warmed up, and they grip really well. I'm shocked with, you know, 700 horsepower, you don't get more drama with it. If you have a Carrera, you should seriously consider this if you like performance and power. And don't be scared by that horsepower number, thinking this is going to be some kind of scary machine, hard to drive, or anywhere near a death trap. This thing is amazing how it all comes together, and I think the tuning calibration is set up really well for you know, good running, safe driving, and man, yeah, it'd be fun to feel this more on the edge, but overall really good. Check us out at flat6.com. Subscribe if you haven't. Thanks. We'll see you in the next one.